The tongues were torn, the tribes were cast across the wounded land. The towers fell to silent dust, the works of pride unmanned. The nations wandered far and wide through valleys, plains, and sand, and altars rose to gods of stone, carved by the hands of man. But in the dark of scattered years, a voice broke through the night, calling one from earth to walk by faith and not by sight. Lift your eyes to heaven's height and count the burning stars. So shall your sons and daughters rise, though now you wander far. Through you the nations yet unborn shall find the path they trod. For I will make a people here, and they shall know their God.
The years rolled on, the promise stood, though time had thinned their breath. For Sarah laughed at hope of life in bodies near to death. Yet in the night a child was born, the son the Lord had sworn, and Isaac's cry beneath the sky announced the covenant born.
But faith would climb a darker hill where silence weighed like stone, and Isaac bore the altar wood, a shadow of the cross still unknown. For God had sworn through Isaac's line a countless seed would stand, and Abraham believed the Lord would keep what he had planned. The mountain rose in solemn wind, the altar built with care. The Father bound the promised Son and raised the trembling prayer. But heaven cried before the blade, and mercy filled the air. God will provide himself a lamb, but a ram was waiting there. Then years would turn and envy burn within a brother's hand, and Joseph fell to chains and dust far from his father's land. Yet dreams still moved through prison walls, and famine crossed the plains, till kings would bow for bread and grain before the slave in chains. For what men forged through spite and fear, the Lord would turn to good, and nations live because a son still trusted as he stood.
The promise walked through desert nights beneath the watchful sky. Through fire and test and bitter years, the covenant would not die. For God had sworn by heaven's throne what time could not erase, a people born to carry forth redemption through their race. Through Joseph's hand the nations lived when famine swept the land. The promise kept, a chosen line, just as the Lord had planned. The covenant moved quietly through suffering and flame, toward one who one day yet would rise to bear the promised name.
The promise moved through desert winds, through famine, chains, and flame, a people shaped by covenant who carried forth his name. For from their line a king would rise when ages reached their span,